faithfully sharing insights and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally talking books. Today I'm reading a book called Shark's Fin and Sichuan Pepper. Oh, just hearing the title, it's a book all about food. That's right. This book is about the amazing cuisine of Greater China. But what makes this book special is that it's written by a foreigner. Fuchsia Dunlop is a Brit who's won the James Beard Award for food writing multiple times, called the Oscar of the culinary world. And, well, she's probably the most recognized Chinese food expert in the West today. In Shark's Fin and Sichuan Pepper, Fuchsia shares how she gradually got into Chinese food and fell in love with it. Generally, Brits are pretty conservative with food, but Fuchsia is a total exception. Her mom had lots of foreign students, so she was exposed to all kinds of exotic foods from childhood. While most Brits have stuff like toast, beef, mashed potatoes, or mac and cheese on their tables, Fuchsia was already used to Japanese sushi, Arabic hummus, or Indian raita. But Chinese food is way different. Even though Fuchsia had eaten Chinese food in Britain, when she first came to China and tasted the real deal, she was shocked, especially by century eggs. In the book, Fuchsia describes her first impression of century eggs like this: "These two century eggs seem to hate me, like demon eyeballs from a nightmare, pitch black and gleaming menacingly. But the white wasn't white. It was a weird, translucent mess, and the yolk wasn't yellow. It was a dark, gooey blob that drew you in. The ring around it was a moldy green-gray, and the smell was awful, a stench that made her dad, and she couldn't swallow it. But Fuchsia pushed through the initial shock and kept bravely exploring Chinese cuisine. Her parents taught her from a young age to be a polite Brit. Eat whatever's given to you. So when Fuchsia first arrived in China, she basically ate anything served to her without hesitation. By chance, Fuchsia went to Chengdu and was totally won over by the fish-fragrant eggplant, stir-fried kidneys, cold dishes, baijiu, and chili bean sauce fish at a hole-in-the-wall joint. After that, she got a scholarship from the British Council and became an international student in Chengdu. So Fuchsia openly admits her fascination with Sichuan cuisine far surpassed her academic interests. In her free time, she'd explore off-campus eateries, enjoying dishes like spicy chicken and twice-cooked pork. She loves cooking. She also loved inquiring about Sichuan recipes. Fortunately, in the land of plenty, practically everyone's a foodie who enjoys cooking and eating. Even the usually reserved Chef Wu would transform into a different person when discussing food, passionately describing his favorite recipes. Fuchsia started by cooking Sichuan dishes herself, but soon grew unsatisfied with amateur experimentation and decided to pursue formal training. She enrolled at the Sichuan Higher Institute of Cuisine, becoming an apprentice to Master Chef Zheng Zigui. Afterward, she traveled to food capitals like Changsha, Hong Kong, Fujian, Hangzhou, and Yangzhou to study China's diverse culinary cultures. Fuchsia originally wrote Shark's Fin and Sichuan Pepper for Western readers. She introduced authentic Chinese cuisine to the Western world, bridging cultural understanding. As a foreigner discussing Chinese food, Fuchsia offers us a refreshingly different perspective. Reading her book often makes you exclaim, "Oh, so that's how it works." Or, "Huh, why didn't I think of that before?" From a grounded culinary perspective, she analyzes Western misconceptions about Chinese food with valuable insights. So let's first explore what makes Chinese cuisine so exquisite and magical through this British woman's eyes. To Fuchsia, the beauty of Chinese cuisine lies primarily in its seasoning. And in this aspect, Sichuan cuisine stands as the most representative. Seasoning is the most fundamental skill Sichuan chefs master, and it's the most splendid part of their cuisine. Foreigners and even many Chinese often oversimplify Sichuan flavors as just mala, numbing, spicy. As if Sichuan cooks only know chilies and peppercorns, that's such a gross oversimplification. Sichuan chefs truly excel at combining sweet, sour, salty, spicy, and other base flavors to create mouth-watering, complex tastes. For example, crafting the classic fish fragrant flavor involves pickled chilies for mild heat, essential sweet sour notes, plus ginger, garlic, and scallions for bold aromatics. Sometimes they add pixie and bean paste for lingering fragrance, creating multi-layered sensory stimulation. Taste. Homestyle tofu's flavor is primarily savory, with mild spice, using seasonings like fermented bean paste, salt, and soy sauce. Occasionally, pickled chilies, fermented black beans, or sweet sauce, red oil, create a chili oil flavor, a perfect blend of chili oil, soy sauce, and broth. A few drops of sesame oil can add aroma. Sichuan seasoning ranges from simple to elaborate. A humble bowl of don don noodles, a small serving topped with dark, crispy minced beef, looks plain, but stirring with chopsticks awakens spices hidden beneath. Each noodle gets coated in sauce, blending soy sauce, chili oil, sesame paste, and Sichuan peppercorns. The effect is simply magical. At its grandest, an elaborate Sichuan banquet employs every imaginable method to delight the palate. First, just right chili oil awakens your taste buds. Then, numbing peppercorns excite your lips. Spicy sweet notes caress your senses like a kiss. Dry fried chilies release tangy sweetness, comforting you in turn. Finally, a nourishing sip of rich broth soothes your spirit, making you feel transcendent, utterly blissful. Of course, seasoning matters to every gourmet, whether French, Japanese, or Mexican cuisine. But in Fuchsia's view, Chinese cuisine's unique distinction lies in texture. Whether imperial feasts or everyday meals, Chinese culinary joy fundamentally revolves around mouthfeel. Chinese treasure specific textures, crispness and fresh bamboo shoots, jellyfish salad, or hot pot duck intestines, flakiness, a dry, crumbly quality. Peking duck skin epitomizes crispness. Roast pork skin achieves crisp flakiness. There's also Schwan, a refreshingly smooth, cool sensation. Yangfen, mung bean jelly, and bingfen ice jelly deliver this. No one savors textures like Chinese connoisseurs. Sea cucumber, abalone, squid, and tendon each offer distinct experiences. Sea cucumber has springy, jelly-like bounce. Rehydrated squid offers sticky, dense gel. Tendon provides satisfying chewiness. And abalone offers a texture that's both tender and resilient, opening new dimensions of deliciousness. The Chinese truly understand this and have perfected it to the utmost. Unfortunately, Westerners' perception of texture is too crude. They're practically amateurs. It takes long practice to appreciate its subtleties. Once, Fuchsia treated her father, who traveled from afar to hot pot at Chengdu's wide and narrow alleys. During the meal, Fuchsia saw her dad wrestling with extremely chewy beef tripe, maintaining polite expression while crunching audibly. But Fuchsia knew he must be uncomfortable, probably thinking, what's the point of this bicycle tire-like stuff? Fuchsia felt apologetic yet rather pleased about it. The tripe was so excellent, so utterly satisfying to eat. Of course, Fuchsia isn't just a food lover. She's a classically trained chef. Thus, compared to seasoning and texture, she believes Chinese culinary art's most admirable aspect is knife skills. Chinese chefs have dozens of terms for cutting techniques: domino slices, ox tongue slices, chopstick strips, finger rotated slices, horse ears, rice grains, eyebrows, floral shapes, and more. This emphasis stems from Chinese dining with chopsticks rather than knives and forks. Therefore, chefs must prepare ingredients with exceptional precision. Chinese cuisine's three basic techniques: slicing, chopping, and mincing evolve into dozens of variations through cleaver angles and cutting directions. Beyond these, over a dozen more techniques like pounding, scraping, and tiling exist. Fuchsia marvels that such complexity relies on one simple cleaver. One cleaver handles large meat chunks yet finely minces scallion rings, Beyond cutting, it has clever uses. The blunt back pounds meat into paste, the handle grinds spices, and the blade serves as a spatula. With a flick, it sweeps ingredients from board to wok, one tool accomplishing nearly every kitchen task. This starkly contrasts Western kitchens with dazzling knife sets plus gadgets like centrifuges, dehydrators, even liquid nitrogen machines. The kitchen looks like a physics lab. As she deepened her understanding of Chinese knife skills, Fuchsia became increasingly alien to her Western friends. Every time she helped Western friends prep veggies, when asked to chop carrots or potatoes, she'd still ask, "How do you want them cut?" They'd always say, bewildered, "Just chop them." Then she'd scratch her head. Should it be ivory sticks or medium thick shreds? Fuchsia also tells Western readers that the term Chinese food itself is problematic. China has multiple regional cuisines, vastly different from each other. The common local dishes of the 8 great cuisines each possess unique character. What represents Sichuan cuisine? Like fiery and outstanding Sichuanese, Hunan cuisine is bold and full of commanding presence. Cantonese cuisine prioritizes fresh ingredients to highlight natural flavors. Guayam cuisine is refined and subtly salty, warm and comforting. Shandong cuisine represents imperial dining, featuring luxurious delicacies from land and sea. China's complex, rich cuisines stem from the nation's innate, deep-rooted passion for food. Take the national treasure meat-shaped stone at Taipei's Palace Museum, a piece of jade carved into braised pork on a pure base. To Fuchsia, a Brit, it's utterly magical and incredible. She writes, "I imagined roast beef made of gold, studded with diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and pearls, displayed at the Tower of London alongside crowns and scepters, but that's absurd and impossible. Only in China could artisans craft ordinary-looking meat from precious materials as national treasure, a metaphor for how seriously China takes food. Beyond seriousness, there's also wisdom, creativity, and joy. So I think we can all agree, Fuchsia, this British woman, is truly Chinese cuisine's soulmate and expert. But foreigners who understand and love Chinese cuisine like her are rare. Though we Chinese take pride in our cuisine and believe it's the world's best. But in reality, foreigners, especially Westerners, hold deep prejudices against Chinese food. As early as the late 13th century, Marco Polo wrote with disgust in his famous travelogue that Chinese ate snake and dog meat, even human flesh in some regions. In 1736, French Jesuit historian Du Halde described Chinese cuisine with an air of amazement, saying Chinese people eat donkey skin, bear paws, frogs, rats, things others wouldn't even touch. In the 19th century, British surgeon Dudgeon and British sailors rested at Tangshan port in Guangzhou. They ate cautiously, picking through food carefully, afraid they might accidentally eat a maggot or gnaw on a small rat bone. To many Westerners, Chinese favorites like shark fin and sea cucumber feel rubbery and unappealing, not to mention the many ingredients and seasonings they don't recognize. Of course, now in the 21st century, Chinese cuisine has permeated daily life in Britain and America. Today in Britain, even the smallest towns have Chinese restaurants, and 65% of households own a Chinese wok. However, beneath its popularity, Brits still harbor ignorance, prejudice, and even fear towards Chinese food. For example, in 2002, Britain's Daily Mail published an article titled, "Yuck, what's that?"
Yeah.
To criticize Chinese cuisine. The article claimed Chinese food is the most deceptive in the world. Chinese people who cook Chinese food eat things like bats, snakes, monkeys, bear paws, plus bird's nest, shark fin, duck tongues, and chicken feet. In 2006, British TV aired comedian Paul Merton's China: A Century of Change series featuring Chinese culture. Thus, what kind of Chinese food did they introduce? It was dog meat and street food. Europeans who've traveled to China recall with horror that in China, you never know what that sticky thing on your chopsticks actually is. In Shark's Fin and Sichuan Pepper, Fuchsia lists Western prejudices against Chinese food, some they should overcome. But some have validity and are indeed issues with Chinese individuals. The first prejudice Westerners have against Chinese food is that its cooking methods are too cruel. Westerners are used to pre-processed supermarket ingredients, so Chinese wet markets seem brutally harsh to them. It's bloody. People seem indifferent to life, chopping a fish head as casually as peeling a potato. He could leisurely smoke a cigarette while bleeding a duck from its throat. Shortly after arriving in Chengdu, Fuchsia experienced a major shock. She went to a rabbit meat restaurant where the owner first showed her rabbits eating grass in a cage, then pulled one out right in front of her, knocked it unconscious, tied its hind legs, and hung it upside down. Then came slitting its throat, skinning, and butchering, all done in one fluid motion. Before Fuchsia could recover from that brutal scene, she was ushered into the dining area. Soon, a bit horrified, a steaming bowl of braised rabbit was placed before her, transformed from live animal to dish in under 10 minutes. Of course, Fuchsia likely misunderstood. The rabbit she ate wasn't the one killed before her eyes. As any Chinese person knows, you can't cook rabbit tender in just 10 minutes. But that said, we all know Chinese restaurants do have this habit of showcasing live ingredients to diners. Gradually, Fuchsia realized that to seriously learn Chinese cooking, she must accept slaughter. Only fresh ingredients create true delicacies. Um, Over time, she grew accustomed to market bloodshed and, like ordinary Chinese, encouraged vendors to kill fish, chickens, and skin eels on the spot. She believes Western criticism of Chinese cooking as cruel carries hypocrisy. In the West, animal death is hidden like shameful secrets. People buy sanitized supermarket meat while animals endure bleak, painful lives on farms before slaughter, unseen by all. In China, you witness meat's origin. Eyes wide open, you choose acceptance. Brutally direct? Yes, but at least honest. The second Western prejudice against Chinese food is overusing MSG. At Sichuan Culinary Institute, Fuchsia was stunned how MSG was treated as ordinary seasoning. Teachers taught adding it to cold dishes and sprinkling at the end to enhance flavor. Mind you, to most Westerners, MSG is the worst artificial additive, only in junk food and unthinkable in British home kitchens. If a respectable restaurant got caught using MSG, it'd be a culinary scandal. Taste. Home-style tofu's flavor is primarily savory, salty, with mild spice, using seasonings like fermented bean paste, salt, and soy sauce. Occasionally pickled chilies, fermented black beans, or sweet sauce red oil create a chili oil flavor. A perfect blend of chili oil, soy sauce, and broth. A few drops of sesame oil can add aroma. Sichuan seasoning ranges from simple to elaborate. A humble bowl of dan dan noodles, a small serving topped with dark, crispy minced beef, looks plain, but stirring with chopsticks awakens spices hidden beneath. Each noodle gets coated in sauce, blending soy sauce, chili oil, sesame paste, and Sichuan peppercorns. The effect is simply magical. At its grandest, an elaborate Sichuan banquet employs every imaginable method to delight the palate. First, just right chili oil awakens your taste buds, then numbing peppercorns excite your lips. Spicy sweet notes caress your senses like a kiss. Dry fried chilies release tangy sweetness, comforting you in turn. Finally, a nourishing sip of rich broth soothes your spirit, making you feel transcendent, utterly blissful. Of course, seasoning matters to every gourmet, whether French, Japanese, or Mexican cuisine. But in Fuchsia's view, Chinese cuisine's unique distinction lies in texture. Whether imperial feasts or everyday meals, Chinese culinary joy fundamentally revolves around mouthfeel. Chinese treasure specific textures, crispness in fresh bamboo shoots, jellyfish salad, or hot pot duck intestines. Flackiness, a dry, crumbly quality. Taking duck skin epitomizes crispness. Roast pork skin achieves crisp flakiness. There's also shuang, a refreshingly smooth, cool sensation. Liangfen, mung bean jelly, and bingfen, ice jelly, deliver this. No one savors textures like Chinese connoisseurs. Sea cucumber, abalone, squid and tendon each offer distinct experiences. Sea cucumber has springy, jelly-like bounce. Rehydrated squid offers sticky, dense gel. Tendon provides satisfying chewiness. And abalone offers a texture that's both tender and resilient, opening new dimensions of deliciousness. The Chinese truly understand this and have perfected it to the utmost. Unfortunately, Westerners' perception of texture is too crude. They're practically amateurs. It takes long practice to appreciate its subtleties. Once, Fuchsia treated her father, who'd traveled from afar, to hot pot at Chengdu's wide and narrow alleys. During the meal, Fuchsia saw her dad wrestling with extremely chewy beef tripe, maintaining polite expression while crunching audibly. But Fuchsia knew he must be uncomfortable, probably thinking, what's the point of this bicycle tire-like stuff? Fuchsia felt apologetic yet rather pleased about it. The tripe was so excellent, so utterly satisfying to eat. For example, the whole duck. Gizzard, tongue, wings, feet, liver, along with giblets, part, head, skin, and meat. Each part is cooked to highlight distinct textures: springy, thick, chewy, crisp, tender, creating rich sensory experiences. This tradition is highly economical. With a chicken, Westerners typically only use breast, thighs, and wings. The rest goes to waste. But in China, blood, gizzard, liver, heart, intestines, and feet all become exquisite dishes. Now, consider the second scenario, eating all kinds of animals. What draws most international scrutiny is China's insatiable wildlife market. When addressing this, Fuchsia finally didn't defend China. She noted China's elite have always prized rare ingredients: bear paws, abalone, shark fin, bird's nest, blood clams, craving novelty. To this day, these delicacies remain favorites among China's powerful. They consume them while boasting about health benefits and luxurious textures. But their true appeal lies in rarity, once reserved for emperors. The nouveau riche's greed threatens China's wildlife endangered species and sparks global crises. China's wild freshwater turtles were eaten to near extinction, so imports from Southeast Asia depleted those populations too. Now, sea cucumbers from North America grow too scarce for trade, so they've turned to poaching as far as Ecuador's Galapagos Islands. Shark survival is threatened by the insatiable demand for fins. In May 2007, a grimy wooden boat was intercepted off Guangdong's coast. It carried 31 pangolins, 44 leatherback turtles, nearly 2,720 lizards, 1,130 Brazilian turtles, and 21 leopard paws, all endangered species. They journeyed from Southeast Asian jungles to dinner tables in southern China. No one knows how many such boats exist. China is now the world's most voracious consumer of endangered wildlife. Animals from every corner of the planet end up in Chinese hot pots and dishes, undeniably the darkest stain on Chinese cuisine today. Fuchsia points out that compared to those showy, extravagant nightlife cultures, the traditional diet of ordinary Chinese people truly captures the essence of Chinese cuisine and can serve as a model for all of human society. This is a lifestyle passed down through generations of Chinese people, a diet that everyday folks themselves stick to. The main dish is a bowl of rice or noodles paired with loads of simply cooked seasonal veggies, various bean products, and a touch of meat or fish to add flavor and provide nutrition. This home-style diet minimizes environmental impact, is nutritionally balanced, and rich in color, aroma, and taste, It's just wonderfully satisfying food. Day after day at the dinner table, the sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy are all nourishing sustenance, and the world is filled with warmth. All right, that's our take on shark's fin and Sichuan pepper for now. The reading notes are below the audio. We'll see you tomorrow.